I think maybe one last thing is just we've all the people that we've encountered that love Chilee oil has just been a very huge blessing for us. Yeah, it's crazy how food can bring people together like to this extent, and just even through Instagram posts, like I don't know, it's very very special.
James Souffet, welcome to the show.
Thanks
you.
for having us.
And I just realized you're expecting.
Oh yeah.
I think that was your last Instagram post, actually. When's the due date?
Got 4 weeks left, so
Oh my goodness.
May 19th.
anytime now.
How's the journey been?
It's been good.
You're glowing, actually. You're
Thank
glowing.
you. It's hot out. But yeah, actually, it's been as smooth as it really can be. Yeah.
Okay,
So,
excellent.
thanks.
Glad to hear it. So this show follows a chronological order, and I want to get into the origin story of Chilee, and that's how you pronounce it.
Yes.
Kudos to Chicago. And
But
but I want to try to create some context into how we got to Chilee, perhaps your individual journeys a little bit, as well as how you met, and then where and how the seed planted to create chili oil. So if one of you wants to start, maybe James, since it's based off your grandfather.
Yeah. So the whole background to Chilee oil is like the whole reason why I'm in Chicago is because of my grandfather. He moved here, and then my family followed. My dad, he found his wife in Chicago, and through that's the whole reason why I'm in Chicago, and I wanted to create this business with his face on it, just to honor him, just pay respects for all the tough times that he had to go through being in Chicago, to raise his family, and then in turn my father raising me. So that's it's mainly just to honor him. And then I think in general, I love eating food, right? And how it all started was there was this in October of 2020, we were making food during the pandemic.
Midst of pandemic,
Yeah.
and like everyone else, trying different things.
So we were
Like at home, like
yeah,
experimenting
yeah.
at home. Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
this noodle dish, like dan dan noodles. So I'm Chinese, and
nice.
I actually grew up in China. I came here when I was in high school,
Okay.
and then found a job in Chicago. So I think I have been in Chicago since 2015.
Wow.
Yeah, and we met actually at the climbing gym in West Loop when they first opened, Brooklyn Boulder.
Boulders.
Yeah, so we were both climbers, and we met at the gym, and we kind of got along, and then the rest was
Was it
history.
like date night at Brooklyn Boulders?
No,
like singles night, or so that wasn't even the goal. Like it was just you're just
wasn't.
climbing and you just happened to bump into, like, was it
Yeah.
similar friend circles or just like
No.
that guy's a really good climber, she's a really good climber?
Well, I think he was looking at me because I wasn't as good and I was trying things way beyond my level. So he was like, all right, like, let me help her out. And I think James was a volunteer for this group called Adaptive Climbing Group, and that help people with disabilities to
Wow.
climb. And so people on wheelchairs, people with, who are blind also get to climb. So I was like,
What led you into that, into helping, or like that niche?
I'm a physical therapist by profession, and I love helping people,
Yeah.
right? And so one of my passions is also climbing too.
Right.
And I found just a lot of joy in helping people to enjoy climbing.
Yeah.
I think especially with people that have disabilities, there might be just a bigger barrier to be able to climb. And the Adaptive Climbing Group is a volunteer-based organization where they help all sorts of people with many ranges of disabilities to climb. So I loved it. It's one of the things I've done like for many years in the past.
Wow.
Yeah, he was like, give me your email. I will sign you up for this volunteer list. I was like, must be a good guy if he's
okay.
volunteer, weekly here.
And did it actually happen? You guys got to volunteer together?
Yeah, we actually, they led the group for like a year or two.
Mhm.
Yeah, so the volunteer group. So it's national wide, but they had a big Chicago base. So we kind of did a lot like admin and social media work for that group for a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are
When
you guys
we
still
were
working with them?
dating. Not anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, just got too much going on our plates now. So that's how we met.
Okay. No, that's beautiful.
And then I introduced him to Chinese food. I like to claim that. So like dan noodle, which is like one of the staple dish, right? In
Yeah, I think
Chinese.
I probably did. I get
I feel like
noodles from you. Or?
I don't know. I like
Okay.
to think that way.
I gotta
Let's
give it
just-
another try. I recently found out that like tantamen ramen is based off dandan noodles.
Yeah,
I
that's
did
like
not know
the
that.
Japanese version of it, right? So if we go to the history of like this dish, like there's so many different versions of it because Chinese cuisine there's not really one flavor and one type. So each province or region of China actually has its own adaptation of the dandan noodle. So in Chicago, like with different Chinese restaurants, we even get to try different versions of it. So during the pandemic, we were looking for recipes to try out, and then like one of the recipe required the chili oil for the dish. So we made a big jar, right? And then we were like, oh, this is good for dumpling too. So we had friends over and making dumplings, so we just brought the sauce out, and everyone loved it. Like that was October 2020, right?
2020.
Yeah.
Like before this, like, did you guys have in your cupboard other types of chili oil?
Not really.
Personally, like
Well,
chili oil is a
Lagama.
recent thing for me as well. Usually it's like sriracha, but like now it's like there's a handful, if not more,
So
of
many,
go-tos.
I think we had Laogama.
Yeah.
Okay,
so-
I haven't
you
tried
gotta
that.
try.
I know it's like
That's
the
a
go-to.
OG. Yeah, well, I don't want to throw shade, but I feel like recently the quality, maybe because we've been making our own, but like before we start making our own, like that's like our go-to. Like that's like you gotta put that in everything, right? And
Yeah.
it's just the
Maybe
most
it's part of scaling, I don't
popular
know,
one. Yeah,
you know?
maybe, but since we've been trying, like I stopped buying it like for a while
Well,
now.
you got your own.
But yeah, so we did, but then during when we were making our chili oil, and then like we did try like different types. We did the market research, you call, like
Yeah,
while we
absolutely.
were creating the brand. So
And
yeah.
you what, started gifting these because people liked it so much?
Yeah.
So we it was October when we created it. I loved it so much. I was like, December was coming around, Christmas, and we were thinking about giving like a cheap Christmas gift to our friends. And it's one of my.
Those are the best though. In the sense that it's not just cheap, but like there's so much love that goes into
Oh
it.
yeah.
Yes. love and tender care.
The cheap, but then how much cleaning that require afterwards? So you gotta count those hours too.
Yeah, all the smell.
Oh my gosh.
You know, at that time we were in a condo on the third floor, and every time I would make it, the whole house would smell.
Have you guys heard of Professor Pizza? Anthony Scardino? Professor Pizza. He's blown up over the last several years, but he's a pandemic success story as well, and he started making his pizzas in his apartment, and then he's like, I gotta get out of here.
Yeah, the temperature, I'm sure it gets hot. Baking that pizza. So
we gave it to our friends
Awesome.
in like small, really tiny jars,
Yeah.
and everyone loved it so much that one of our friends, our climbing buddies, his mom was saying like, when are you guys gonna start selling this? And next year, January, like it's sort of sparked the idea to sell it,
yeah.
and we started
Well-
selling it in like tiny jars.
It was 4 ounce, right? We started in those mason jars. I remember going to different grocery stores or like Walmart because the jars were selling out everywhere. I guess everyone was canning at the same time during the pandemic.
Sure.
So we were like going to different stores trying to get enough 4 ounce like mason jars and to package and to sell. But then I think by first month in February we hit like the first 100 jar, right? Sale.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And everything was like handwritten down. It was like masking tape with like Sharpie on there and like batch number and like the name of it. then they.
I like thinking about it. I'm still like in shock at how many people were willing to try
Trust us?
our chili oil.
From our kitchen.
'Cause, yeah, it was just like a random home kitchen.
But you guys have put yourselves out there pretty frequently, actually.
Yeah.
And it's not to take away from all the work that you've put in, but if I see chili oil on the table on a cracker or on a piece of toast, like I'll try it.
Right.
And it happens to be good work. It happens to be really tasty chili oil.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So I also wanted to dig deeper on that spark or the seed that was planted. Was there anyone else or anything else that solidified that seed, or was it just your friend's mom?
To start selling it?
Yeah, because most people would hesitate. Most people are like, it's just a little passion project.
I was like, we're not selling this.
Right.
But
So at the time, were you still full time working in your respective roles?
Right. So Sufei's
I'm a software engineer for a consulting company. So it was fully remote job, and so I had like 9 to 5 every day, so it was quite busy for me.
9 to 5, but was it really like? Sometimes it is though. Sometimes
8 to 7, but
that's a long day.
Yeah. So
most people when they have remote roles, like they can get away with the side hustle, right? But you actually had a legitimately long day.
Yeah. During that time, I was working on a pandemic-related project for the company, so it was quite stressful. So. My first reaction was, no, we're not making more of this. Like, it was enough for Christmas.
So did you have to do a little convincing then?
Well, I had a lot more time because part of the reason during that time, like everything was shutting down, and they wouldn't allow.
You had your practice by then,
right?
Your physical therapy.
So
practice.
I had a practice in Lincoln Park.
Okay.
And there was a couple months during that time where they wouldn't. The whole city was shut down, and I wasn't even able to see patients. So, I thought it was a nice opportunity to try doing a side hustle. And majority of the production and like making it and cooking it, like that was on my side of it. Yeah. And so I think Sufei was definitely more open to allowing me to do that. Mm-hmm. And
whatever keep him busy, right?
Yeah, no, I saw, yeah.
As I was working, like, nonstop.
It's funny because like during that time, like I wasn't as busy, right? And there was a little bit of a strain in our relationship, our marriage, because Sufei was like very used to working from home, whereas for me, like when I'm home, like I do all sorts of different things. And so
it's driving me a little crazy.
It was driving me nuts.
Like, he's not doing anything, and I'm here, like nonstop meetings.
A lot of people shared that sentiment too.
Yeah, so maybe it was also because of the pandemic that sparked the creation of Chilee oil.
Yeah.
But I think the main was Robin, like Kyle's mom. She definitely, I don't know, I guess that's what genuinely sparked the interest in us actually trying to think of selling it.
Did you try to think about the legality or the ramifications, like how do we do this kosher? How do we legitimately sell this? How do we make labels? Like what was your thought process with that?
I think the very first thing was I wanted to have a good like image, right? So like what did we want to do to create like a brand? And so through that we hired a local artist, Kiyomi. She's actually friends of one of our friends too, so we got introduced to her. She actually made my physical therapy logo.
Oh, okay, nice.
So I have my own physical therapy practice, and I knew her.
All the designs for the
she created everything with my PT practice, and so it was pretty easy to ask her to like help out with our chili oil.
I was also against that when he first asked me, but that was
against outsourcing the work, or
like. Yeah, because I think when you had the idea, it was like maybe March, April, when we maybe sold what was like first close to 1,000 jars.
So this is without a logo?
This is without logo.
Yeah.
If
just masking tape.
Yeah,
and then it says Chilee oil.
Where were you selling this?
Oh,
Instagram.
So it's DM. as Instagram DM plus an Excel sheet plus a lot of Sharpie and the masking tape.
So where'd you get this like this mentality to execute and then ask for forgiveness later? Was that taught? Like, because some people, I don't know.
Well,
I felt like I was in my own way when I was starting businesses.
So I looked into like general cottage food license, and that's they allow you to make like items from your home and sell it at markets.
Oh.
And I saw that I fell under like those rules, and so I was practicing under the cottage food license for the first year.
The home kitchen, that's a lot.
Creating home goods, like food from your home kitchen, allows you to be within this like cottage food regulation.
And simply through Instagram, you said 1,000 little mason jars?
Yeah, it was. I think
That
we
is-
upgraded to 6 ounces, like when we start selling it.
Would you still attribute that to like word of mouth?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that was
Right?
about
Okay.
it.
would
We
say
wrote
so.
down the numbers, so it was 1,000 jars in April. Yeah, so
That's just a few
3
months.
months.
Yeah.
Into selling. But then he was like, "Oh, we should get a logo," and then I was like, "How much?" And then he gave me a number. I was like, "No, we're not. Like, we barely made any money out of this. Why are we spending more money?" I think from like the business perspective, he definitely take a lot more risk, and also
Understanding that it takes money to make money in a way.
yeah. But I'm always holding him backing. Sometimes we're good.
You need a balance, right? You need a
exactly.
balance. No, I appreciate that. I'm the dreamer in our relationship, so I definitely get humbled from time to time.
Yeah, but looking back, I feel like that really, like, Kiyomi is like such a great artist, and I think that logo, like, it really just defined the product and
Yeah,
really
no, it's
like,
definitely
highlighted.
recognizable. Like you see that, it's like, oh, that's Chilee.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wish. I mean, it is on his shirt.
Yeah.
We forgot to bring a jar for the video.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good.
So yeah, so that was like May 2020, right? So
But like before that moment with the 1,000th jar, did that help you realize like you're onto something real or
not for me.
not yet? Oh my
It
goodness!
takes me
1,000 jars is a lot of jars. How would that? What space would that fill? Like this table or more? 1,000 jars stacked how high?
It'll probably be this table stacked like 4 times.
Heck yeah!
Something like that, you know?
That's amazing. When I told you off the camera, like I started acquiring tens of thousands of new followers to the page, but imagine if they were all here listening. It's wild to me. I don't know. It's just like that's why like if you're starting, even if you have 20 followers, like 20 people in this room, like 20 people's a lot of people, right? So it's we all start somewhere.
Yeah, it was just through DMs, so word of mouth.
Yeah, so I would fulfill it by like looking at the DM, and then I created a
I
spreadsheet,
remember this.
and I would write their information down, and then I would say fulfilled order or unfulfilled, and then either they would pick it up from our condo.
They would ring the bell. So there are 2 doors in our condo to go to the actual like units. So we will leave the order in between the 2 doors on a little table that he built. Like no one else complained about it, fortunately.
Yeah.
So people would ring the door, we'll let them in, and then they will get the order in between the door, and then they will leave.
Now, at what point did you think about safety?
Nowhere.
Yeah, honestly, I was
just-
hoping that
right?
at least at the very beginning, like it was always our friends and then friends
That's
of friends. So I was hoping that nothing would happen, and thankfully nothing did.
Yeah.
There was one time when some jars were stolen
yeah.
in that sense, but
So like what, neighbors? Because it's in the middle area. Or?
not neighbors. So within our condo, everyone I trusted everyone to, and like we would also give out jars to our neighbors too, and they all understood. But randomly, theft happens all the time.
Yeah,
So
sometimes doors not always locked fully, right?
Right,
When people
right.
leave, so who knows?
but besides that,
Wow.
thankfully nothing else has happened.
And then also I remember he would drive around the city just to drop jars off.
Yeah,
Like-
so for like a little delivery fee, I would say I could drive it to your house. So mainly it was all in Chicago, but then every once in a while I'd have like a Wheeling or
Oh wow!
Suburb.
Lincolnshire or Mount
And
Prospect.
you've got to be wondering, how did these people in Wheeling or Mount
Yeah.
Prospect or Lincolnshire hear about this? How about our?
It's pretty
our oil?
unbelievable,
Yeah.
and it was just through Instagram, right?
Yeah.
And we
Anyone across state lines?
No, thankfully, no.
Indiana, Northwest, maybe,
Right?
but
Soon, if not already.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I was just thankfully I didn't have to go too far.
Yeah.
I remember he will on like a Saturday, he will like map out the route like to the different suburbs, and then
Wow.
you will like go to each stops and then come back.
Yeah.
And then I realized at a certain point this is not going to be sustainable.
You know, what if like you were doing those routes and you saw a really cool like boutique, like a Foxtrot or like some pickup grocery store, and you could just vision like our oil could be on these shelves right now.
Well, we actually did try that with Andale at the very beginning, right? You know, the
okay.
one
Yeah.
in Andersonville. I think we walked by once and we were like, oh, they opened during the pandemic.
Okay.
And they've been really successful since too, and they support a lot of local business.
I haven't been in.
Yeah.
I used to live at Foster and Clark, so and then
Oh.
my fiance's family still is in that
Yeah.
area, but I don't go. It's far. I live
Yeah,
around here,
for
so
you.
it's far.
Yeah.
But
So when we first
awesome.
went there with our product, they were like, "Oh, we really like it, but we cannot sell it at the store because you only have a cottage license."
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
But that kind of pushed us to like, you know, that's a later story, but pushed us to get into the commercial kitchen.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
now Kyoko, right?
Kiyomi.
Kiyomi, sorry,
Uh-huh.
Kiyomi got the logo. You have this logo now. What was the next step?
I think it was the next big thing was Renegade happened, right?
Logo and then the label. So
Oh, yeah.
we
Okay.
had the circle sticker, but then I also wanted to try to push before Renegade happened. Renegade's like a craft fair that happens every year.
How many vendors?
Um,
Oh,
man, good question. Maybe like
100.
300
That's
vendors.
a lot of vendors.
So their summer event is like the biggest one.
3 days long, I think.
Yeah.
2 days.
2 days.
They
2 days.
block off like 3 blocks, right, on Division.
Yeah, so from like Ashland to
In Chicago.
Yeah.
Yep, yep.
Why am I
Yeah.
thinking? Was there one in Austin?
There was, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So Renegade is actually nationwide.
I did not.
They have it like in San Francisco, New York,
Oh.
Austin, Seattle, LA, and then Chicago.
Oh, amazing.
So we started it. Was it the same year or the following year?
Same year,
20
2020.
Oh, yeah, so 2021. 2021 was when we created it, and then summer of 2021, Renegade was going to happen, and that's where this was actually the first Renegade that opened after the pandemic. So the previous year they closed down, everything was shut down, and so I thought like it would be a great opportunity for us to try to get in, and I want to have labels, and so
How much was a vendor fee? It was like $300.
Yeah. What did you say to that?
I was like, that's so much
Are we gonna make
money."
$300?
Exactly. You know, at this
Now,
point.
if you were to say that, what would your response be to that?
it's okay. Come on.
I eventually, of course, giving, right? So
Yeah.
you see the pattern.
It just hindsight's 2020, but you look back and see how strong word of mouth is. So even if you broke even at Renegade Fair, the number of people that bought your oil
Of course.
exponential effect.
Yep.
You know.
Exactly. So thankfully we had the label. Kiyomi helped to create the logo and the label on time. And so during Renegade, like I was scrambling to apply all the labels on the jars and then like finishing it up.
Yeah, I remember.
And then we thought
you got as fast as you could with it. You got a
yeah.
system going.
Oh, and then I bought a label applicator. Was that during that?
yeah.
How much are those?
It's like 150.
It was
not
a
bad.
lot.
That's not
Okay,
bad.
I also
That's not
was
bad at all.
like-
That's not bad
He
at
was
all.
gonna buy the second one. I was like, no, we're not buying the second one.
Yeah.
But I did help you find it on Amazon.
You
So
did.
I was,
So
I
she's
tried to help.
starting to turn around at this point, realizing there's potential.
Did you both go to Renegade Fair?
We did.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
that was
amazing.
like the most crazy weekend I think like to history that we ever had.
Yeah.
And did you both have a great time, or did you get to see each other light up and like see how other people's light up to your oil?
Yeah, for sure. So the funny thing is like at this point we were still on Excel sheet and the Venmo, right? So we were like, oh, okay, let's be official now. Like let's gonna Square, right? So
Oh yeah. So we did. We bought a Square.
That was your
app.
decision?
I think it was it. I was saying, I mean, any purchase that would
that's
be
so
him.
cool. That's so cool.
Well, actually, Square, the reader was free.
Yeah.
So-
but per
yeah.
transaction.
Okay, yeah, you were
Exactly.
using
Yeah.
it for PT already, so I've got.
Oh.
Yeah, but I was like, I don't want to pay this much money per
Yeah.
transaction to another company. And then, but we were like, okay, let's just prepare for this event, right? Like we got a half of a booth, like a tent, so it's a 5-band tent space. We were like, we're gonna give samples out, right? So we were trying different things. So we ended up with sourdough bread and a chili oil, like just a small little bread cut up, and then chili oil on the top, right? So we bought bread from Panera, like maybe 3 loaves on that day.
Yeah.
Was that was a last minute decision? Just to find you just found a Panera?
What? I don't know how we got to Panera.
Actually, so we had one other market that was a lot
Oh,
smaller.
it's a small
Before
one.
Renegade?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember.
And so we had like decent experience with that, and then people responded really well to the bread, and it pairs
Oh,
really
yeah,
well
yeah.
for it with the chili oil.
What other options were you considering?
We overkilled it. We bought Costco, remember, and guacamole and bread and chili oil.
Oh,
And it just it was too much work.
Too
It was too much
salty.
cost and too much flavor already. It just didn't work.
Was that during Renegade?
It was
or-
right before Renegade,
before
yeah. So
Renegade.
good thing we had a small market. I don't even remember what it is, but we
It was
tested out.
Would
one tail at a time event.
The adoption,
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, they
uh-huh.
had a
the shelter.
at the brewery.
Right.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
our
I forgot
first.
I forgot the.
Would it be
breweries.
too much work to do it on rice?
I think the preparation for rice is just a little messy.
Messier,
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then also one thing, and I don't know we mentioned this yet, and like we realized during the Renegade that this is not just only for Asians or Asian Americans, because Chicago is a lot more diverse, right? And then people from all different ethnic background all loved it.
Yeah.
Like we were surprised, like white people liked it. Like they like ask what is this, and then we just be like try it, and then their eyes light up. So we were like, okay, so
Yeah.
the bread worked, right? Because they can see it as a avocado toast pairing, a charcuterie board pairing.
Interesting.
So
Was that intentional or just a coincidence?
I think because he's
Coincidence.
Korean,
Yeah.
I'm Chinese. Like even the ingredients we used, it's not just like one, like Chinese ingredients only. Like
Yeah.
the sesame seeds is definitely not traditional in chili oil. So maybe because that mix made it like brought a broader audience.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I would say kind of unintentional, but as we were doing like at the day of Renegade, we realized like it was it really hits something. We really hit something.
Yeah, I was so surprised to like see people of like various ethnic backgrounds. They always say like this reminds me of a dish like back in Turkey. I'm like, what? That's
Oh.
like
Yeah.
very, I don't
Or
know. it's just-
Egypt. I was
yeah. It was surprising, shocking.
Yeah.
Like that this Chinese, Korean like condiment can bring back those different memories. So I was like there's definitely something special about this.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
But so on day one of Renegade was like 90-degree, right? We were like
That
was hot,
directly
yeah.
facing the sun.
Oh no.
And then we had friends came to help out in the booths because it got really busy. People keep coming up, grab sample, and keep wanting to buy it. And then the same time, we are still trying to figure out how Square works, like because it was like day one of literally everything new.
I'm gonna go back to Venmo.
Yeah, actually, we were like probably taking Venmo at the same time
yeah.
just to save
do
money.
what you gotta do. Yeah,
you
you
know.
What's a little funny side story about my Square Reader, because
Yeah.
I used it for physical therapy initially, and then I ended up changing like point of sales apps, so I ended up not having to use it. But the Square Reader had allowed healthcare like credit card to be used, so like people's HSA or FSA cards, like
No
they can
way.
use it.
But did they even like it was an accident? Like how did they know?
Oh well, so the people that were buying chili oil were just using their regular credit cards.
Yeah.
But it was funny because our friends and we had like people review their Square
Yeah.
like receipt, and then the category was like healthcare workers. So it was like I was cracking up.
mistake, right?
But thankfully we had the Square, and then first day of Renegade. So I thought we had definitely had enough jars, so we
prepared
prepared around 300
jars
jars
total for 2 days.
for 2 days.
Yeah.
Did you think going into it? Did you think that would be plenty or
Yeah,
just enough?
absolutely.
Or-
I'm
okay.
like, there's no way we're
2
gonna sell
days.
out.
Yeah, I mean, no one even heard this thing.
Well, how many
before.
people usually? Do you know how many people usually attend?
So yeah, they said anywhere from like 50 to 70,000 people foot traffic.
It's a big thing.
That's-
Especially during the summer one.
Okay.
And I think because it was the first one after the end of the pandemic.
People were antsy.
Like, yeah, exactly. So probably a lot more people ended up coming. And it was crazy. Our booth, like, every time it was just a big crowd around our booth, like people wanting to try samples.
Like waiting, like behind people, trying to see what's going on while there's so many people, right? And then we have like the simplest, like the look, like he wrote everything on little like cardboard that was like the leftover box that the jars came in Sharpie, and like we had like logo printed out on paper, but that was just paper, right? Like there's no design. Like you see Renegade, everyone's about the design, the
Yeah,
booth.
it's crazy how far you can get with just that. It's just love sometimes, you know?
Yeah.
So our first day, we sold around 250 jars.
Okay.
And so we had
first day?
Yeah.
first day, and then we had just like 50 or 60 jars left. So second day, we were like scrambling, what should we do? And we were just giving out a bunch of samples, and we said, all right, if you guys pre-order now, we'll give you free shipping.
That's smart.
And so I think we had
I did
around-
not like that idea, just to be clear. I was like, we're losing money on this.
You gotta incentivize it. That's so funny. I love this balance, this back and forth. It's a dance.
It's the tension.
That's how the marriage is
But and it worked though, huh? Did it work?
Yeah, so we had around 70 sales.
Like
Day
100
two.
jars pre-order.
Right.
Day
Yeah.
two. I mean, were you expecting anywhere near 150 again, or not really
So in
for day
terms of-
two?
Yeah, I mean,
Or was it because you didn't have
250.
as many and
Yeah.
like people really want to just take it home and
Exactly.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
right.
So I mean, so 250 the first day. Second day was like 60 jars plus 100 jars pre-order.
yeah, right.
That's huge still.
That's
Yeah,
still
that's
pretty
awesome.
good.
So then is that a waking up moment, Sufei? Is like
I even to
gotta
this
pump our
day,
numbers
I
up.
don't know. You ask me that question.
as a software engineer, was there any part of you and even James like that wanted to automate? Like how do we make this more efficient? Like how do we implement systems so we're not caught up doing too much of the minutia or the day to day?
Yeah, I think, but like, that's always what I want. But like, just because work, like, after work, I don't have the energy to like.
I
into-
wonder, did you ever have the seed in your head where like, all right, this oil is now our baby. I'm making money for someone else over here. I'll try and make the money, but I care a little bit more about our oil now. Like,
Yeah.
does any part of that resonate with you?
It's hard. I am pretty committed to my work,
That's good,
and
yeah.
I love my job. And so, like, I know sometimes it can be very demanding. So, like, yeah, I don't know what I mean. I'm pretty committed. To
No,
my
that's
work,
great. Good to
yeah.
hear that. I usually hear the other side a little bit more
Yeah.
often. What about? Did you try implementing any systems?
You did the Shipple.
So yeah, I started shipping,
Mm.
and actually before we used like an automated shipping company.
Where they would come to your home, or you would drop off somewhere, or?
Where it's basically like you can print out labels from home.
Oh, okay.
And before I did that, I would go to USPS.
Mhm.
And then stand in line, and at certain times I would have like 10 orders, and then I would have to like individually.
There's no
have
drop
them.
off.
There's no drop off. I would have to like pay for the shipping.
We didn't know.
Standing in line.
And then that's where the labels came from.
Right.
So then once you printed the labels, you could drop off.
Exactly. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
but even then, you're still carrying them.
yeah, it wasn't
It
too
was
bad.
still-
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Okay.
by that point, I was like, man, I don't want to wait 30 minutes to an hour in line
Yeah.
at USPS. So I ended up finding like online platforms where you can connect it to
Automated with
our
Square.
partner sales. Yep.
Yeah.
And then now I could just print out a label and then slap it on the package. That still takes some time, but it's definitely a lot more efficient than
I
having to
remember
wait in line.
You wait in line and you had to input the address manually one at
Oh,
a
yeah.
time, right? Like manually.
Sure.
They have those kiosks, which was actually pretty convenient, and there were like 20 packages, but I would have to manually input
From
and
the
spend
Excel
like
sheet.
30 minutes doing that on my own. But now, thankfully, it's all automated.
So
in
that, I mean,
sense.
kudos to you, like really figuring that out. I just keep telling him, I will do that. Don't worry. Like, give me next week. When I have a break, I'll help you out. And
She's
then,
not doing it.
But we had, I think the web, like I did a lot like more online stuff, like the
Okay.
websites, and just trying to, I mean, help out as much as I can, right? Like, you know.
Yeah, and I think for like production level, and that's why we got the label applicator.
Mm-hmm.
Like that sped things up a lot quicker.
Yeah.
And I'm just always trying to think like, how can this be faster? Like, how can it be quicker? And so, I think our kitchen has finally like gotten to that level where things are pretty efficient.
Mm-hmm.
But that's-
Yeah.
At this point, like the home kitchen or somewhere like
Oh,
like so at this
hatchery,
point in time, like where do you focus your energy? Is it on packaging? Is it on scaling? On marketing? Where is your energy focused at this point?
I don't know.
I think-
Not this one. I mean at that point, after
Yeah.
Renegade, like that point.
After
After Renegade.
Renegade, we were trying to get all that. We were like, okay, commercial kitchen, like because what Underlay Market taught us, right? We were like, let's look into commercial kitchen. We want to sell at grocery store. So
Mhm.
you start looking at, you know, what's the best way to do it, and we end up with the hatchery. I don't even know who.
Who connected you to the hatchery?
Oh, Onigiri.
Onigiri.
Yeah.
Oh, so
Kokoro or?
Korean.
Korean.
Oh
yeah.
yeah. Okay.
So funny thing is, we shared a booth at the Renegade,
With them.
and so that's how I first met Yuta and Christina,
Mhm.
and they were doing really well too. Like they were selling the onigiri is like a rice ball,
Mhm.
like wrapped in seaweed, but they were killing it with their side of it. And then we just started a friendship since then. And then I think Yuta told me about the hatchery.
Yeah.
There was also a couple people like during the Renegade, like they would talk to us about different options and
Incubators or
Yes.
okay, what were the other options
There was some food incubator.
in Chicago?
Yeah, I forgot the names. So we got some DMs as well.
yeah,
but
there's one called Amped Kitchen.
Heard of it.
It's another
So there's more than
Commercial
there's more.
kitchen.
There's a few. There's a few
Yeah.
out
right,
there.
right.
How do you choose? If you remember, like how do they differ from each other?
I don't remember exactly.
I think we just took.
I think the hatchery was definitely a lot more friendly to small business owners,
Yeah.
Okay.
to like startups. And
I mean, don't they cater to all small businesses?
at the other kitchens, I think those are just more like general
Like shared kitchen
commercial
space?
kitchen spaces. Yeah.
Hatchery has more like networking events
Yeah.
as well, and the people who work there also like.
They put on seminars too.
Yeah, and
Yep.
then they also do like at other markets they do like a hatchery like booth, and they will kind of have all the people who, you know, use their kitchen to be combined booth. So like they do really facilitate.
Which helps covers the cost of
exactly
being a vendor and
yeah,
stuff like that.
They
Okay.
get pricey.
That's cool.
So I think that was 2021, right? The second half of 2021, you were just focused on trying to get all the paperwork and get all the there's classes required and
Oh.
got that in
Yeah.
place.
At this point, are you a legitimate like LLC or a business at this point?
I was actually from the very
Nice.
beginning. I think beginning of
Oh.
2021.
Okay.
We initially started as a sole prop.
I still
yeah.
don't know what any of those means.
I mean, honestly, I don't really know what it means either. But sole proprietor, and
Yeah.
then we switch over to LLC later on.
I
But
don't know why. he has a relative that's a content. He's been kind of helping, and then, you know, I'm just like, okay.
Supposedly there's some legal protection, right? So if someone were to get sick from the chili oil, they'll
Something
sue
like
the
that.
Chilee, but it would
Not
protect your personal
us.
assets.
Yeah.
You guys are protected.
yes.
Oh, now we know. Thanks. So that was so the commercial. It was a lot of license and the paperwork, right?
Yes. One of the biggest hurdles was, and I'm actually like looking back, I really appreciate how much oversight and like restrictions there are in the city of Chicago. Because I know then like having to go through that process, I realized, wow, they're really trying to protect the people.
Food is
You know?
safe to eat.
Like this food must be like safe to eat, you know, in that
It's
sense.
wild. I saw an Instagram reel of someone taking a bacterial swab of soda cans in the refrigerator of a Walgreens or a gas station,
Yeah.
and then they put it in an incubator and compared it with a fresh soda can out of the box. Both of them had bacterial growth, but the one that came out of the fridge, much more growth on those cans.
Wow.
Sure, yeah.
So the filters within those refrigerators are not updated as often as they should be.
Yeah, yeah. So like that, one of the biggest things was because I make our chili oil with garlic, and there's a high content of like potential like bacterial growth on garlic, and so they had to make sure that my garlic that I used there was very low water content.
Deep fried. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's deep fried, and then all the water it should be removed from it. So I had to go to like a food science lab and get all my products like
Was that in
tested.
Chicago?
It's in Skokie.
Oh, cool.
forget
Yeah,
what
Food science
so
lab.
okay. It was pricey. I remember
Is
it
it,
was
wait, is that
thousands
but this is like a
dollars.
regular thing? You have to keep going to get it tested, or what does that mean?
No, so once you have like your final product is like tested through the food science lab.
But do you have to renew it every so often, or you're good?
Good question.
Yeah.
I'll have to look at that.
We are hopeful it's not the answer.
Not to scare you guys. This is
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I think being part of like the hatchery, like making everything out of the commercial kitchen, there's also standards, like the cleaning procedures there. It's
Yeah.
very high. So that really that makes it official.
The way it works, are there time slots and days that you're allowed to be there, or
Yep.
is it large enough to where other businesses are there as well?
So you can either rent a private kitchen, and that you rent it monthly, or you can rent a shared kitchen space. So
Where you're free to come and go?
right.
Well,
And
you
so-
have to book ahead.
and you book ahead.
Oh,
So
okay.
there's like a time slot that you can put in what days you want to go in, and then
Okay.
you get to use it and clean the kitchen and head out after
Yeah.
that. But
Have you been able to rub shoulders with other small businesses within the hatchery?
yeah, so definitely I've seen a lot of people in the hatchery. I see Utah with the onigiri a lot.
The only place I've picked up business from there is 5 Squared Pizza.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
They do like
make
Detroit
their-
style, the square
Yeah,
pizzas.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But when I went on their website, I had no idea they service so many small businesses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Carolyn Crisp is another one. They make vegan style chips.
They're really tasty.
Bartleby's ice cream is another
Vegan.
one.
And I'm sure that
Ice
it plants
cream.
the seed in their head of like, some of your Chilee oil on some of our stuff might be pretty fire.
Actually, now you mentioned,
So
we
thankfully,
do have a Chilee oil onigiri collab now.
I saw that.
Yeah,
I saw it.
so
It looks
that
good.
came out of the kitchen for sure.
yeah. So they use our mild avocado oil.
Okay. The premium on that.
Chilee oil.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And then I think they cook shrimp with it
Yeah,
into
Oh.
their rice balls.
one of their best sellers apparently.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I think their tuna mayo, tuna
one
mayo
of
are best sellers. But hopefully, yeah, it picks up traction.
And then present tense as
Present
well.
tense.
Well,
is out there
what
too,
has
yeah.
the hatchery allowed you to do?
Definitely, because it's a commercial kitchen,
Mhm.
right now that allows us to get into the grocery stores. So that was the biggest hurdle. It's like Andale Market said, we can't have your product. It's not commercial kitchen license approved.
But
Right?
but they were like, we'd love to.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
exactly. And then the cost, right, is per hour. So it's not a huge, to me, it's
At
always
the
about
hatchery?
the cost. Yeah.
Interesting.
So how much is in a shared kitchen per hour?
I think it's like $20 an hour.
Yeah.
something
That's
like
it?
that.
Yeah.
But there's monthly fees too, and
Sure,
then there's
sure,
like
sure.
stored.
Storage.
But then
fees.
with that, are you allowed to go to all the seminars or networking events or?
Mhm.
Yeah,
They
right.
definitely have. They really encourage a lot of the hatchery users to.
It's very. Is there that communal vibe?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
I
I
love
think
it.
you met a lot of people from there because he goes there. Yeah.
And has that become one of your favorite aspects? Like aside from making this chili oil, like the opportunity to meet so many creatives and interesting individuals.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely, it's just like a lot of people within that same. I begin to appreciate a lot more people that are creating like small businesses. Especially because I had my PT practice, it's like a small business, and then Chilee Oil, and just meeting all these people that are just grinding, right,
Mhm.
and working hard. I really come to appreciate like their products. And obviously it's a little bit more expensive, right? But I'm more willing to put my money into their products as opposed to like these major corporate companies, right?
Yeah, but at the same time, as you start to scale, how do you stay away from the feeling of being a sellout? Because you know, it's nice to make money,
Yeah.
but like without compromising the integrity or the quality of the product.
Yeah. I think, do you want to say something? Well, I think part of our business model in that sense, or our priorities, like we really want to keep the quality of the oil and the chili crisp like consistent. So, and if we were to scale in that sense of like creating a massive product, I don't know if I would eventually want to go there because of the fact that maybe the quality of the product is not going to be as good. And then I really appreciate the workers that we've begun to hire as well. And so I like the fact that we can have a greater like ongoing, like almost like a family relationship with
Yeah, you're building a
our
tribe.
workers too. Yeah.
Yeah, we I mean, we hang out with their kids. We trick or treat with their kids.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we just like it feels like a really like a family, and part of running the business, it's just want to keep them because we know that before this job, like you know, they were pushed really hard on by other business, and they like really burned out in other like big corporation jobs.
So
Like-
how as a now you're in an opportunity to create jobs and roles. How have you created a sense of ownership or fulfillment for your team? Like they're that feeling of like being a part of something that's
Yeah.
bigger than themselves.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I haven't really thought that deeply into it in that sense, but I think, you know, I'm sure they've worked with a lot of bosses that are just strictly business and like very low relationship,
Very transactional.
Yeah.
right? And I really see myself and Sufei as people that really care for the people that we work for, or that work for us. And
I think you're also trusting them more. Like
Yeah.
Just what like their resume shows, right? Just
giving
give
them
more
a greater sense of ownership of
responsibility.
the job that
Yeah.
they're taking on.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me personally because I love what I do as a physical therapist. Sort of have like a niche market in climbers,
Right.
so I'm like climbing specific, and so that's like a strong passion that I have. And then chili oil came along, and it's another great passion that I've been really loving too, and so
Does it tick off different boxes for you in your realm of fulfillment?
I think I'm doing too much. Honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very exhausting at sometimes. But
So are you guys are thinking of already trying to or putting the pieces in place to maybe step away a little bit?
for certain aspects of our
Right.
chili oil business, I want to give more responsibility
Yeah.
and ownership for them to take on,
Yeah.
so that I can not drive myself to the ground.
What roles require you to be present?
So I'm still trying to manage the kitchen and see exactly like how things are created, but eventually I do want to get to the point where like that can be run on its own.
Yeah.
Right, so the production level is still high and everything's like running smoothly. In order for me to focus a little bit more on the business side of trying to get into more grocery stores or partnering up with like different restaurants. Right.
And eventually, would you trust someone to represent you guys at those fairs?
That's a good question. Yeah, that's a hard
Because
one.
it takes us like someone just kind of to at least love it as much as you do, and
Right.
you kind of have that charismatic personality to like put themselves forward instead of just sit behind the booth, and they
Yeah.
really got to put themselves out there.
I think
Yeah.
part of the brand it's us, right? I
Yeah.
mean, good thing and also bad thing, right? That it's very dependent on us being.
It
there.
is and it isn't. I think in the beginning it is, but then having Grandpa Lee's face on there helps.
Yeah, right. I think one tip that Utah actually gave me when I was like seeing that he's hiring a lot of people. He said to use a lot of hire people that are actually like passionate about your product.
Yeah.
And so that's like a really good insight. And I think eventually in hopefully down the road, like that's something that I do also want to look out for is people that are just as passionate about
Yeah.
Chilee oil.
It's interesting because I also am under the belief that they can't care as much as you do.
It's hard. Yeah, absolutely. And like
At the end
even
of the day.
there's an aspect of like you have to, you know, as much as you want to like be in control of everything, there's an aspect of like allowing yourself to have some wiggle room and some allow the product to sort of like take a little hit, but not too big of a hit. And so it's like it's a hard tension
vulnerable.
to balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that's coming up, I'm due expected in May 19, and then one of the most exciting thing for Chilee oil this year is we got into Logan Square Farmers Market, which is a very big one, and that's 5 days before the due date. So I really want to be there because it's gonna be nice, like to that's like one thing I have been wanting to do for 2 years, and we applied to late last year. But then also I was like, I probably shouldn't be there. But we actually had friends who offered to help, and they are like two people who are being very like supportive of
like
us.
day one supporters.
Yeah. Well, it's actually the the mom who wanted us to sell it. It's a son of like her. So he's been there, like they've been there from day one. So, but still, like even like I was like, oh, that would be great. You guys can be there, but the back of my head, I'm like, I still want to be there, right? Just because.
Play it by ear.
Yeah. So it's definitely hard to let it go, not because we don't trust people, but it's like it is our like pandemic baby, and I want to see like every step of like the growth of it. But yeah.
What's it like seeing? I saw a post recently, but what's it like seeing your product next to Lao Gama? Next to the OG, right?
Still,
Like
very unbelievable. Yeah, and we recently, or maybe last year, we had another person reach out to us from Chicago Magazine, and to see Chilee oil next to like all the other big names.
Big names
overall, would you see over the last couple of years like a rise in just Chilee oil in general?
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Chilee oil in itself has. In the East Coast, like it's very common, but in the Midwest and then even, in the West Coast, it's very common, but it's like starting to get more popular in the East Coast. There was a article in the New Yorker about using chili oil as a part of the recipe of a dish, and like people are very new to it, and still, I think a lot of the population don't really know how to use it.
We still get questions.
I guess, and some is more oily, some is more like if you claim to be a crisp, and then some are actually crispy, right? So like, what are some flavor notes people can expect from your chili oil? Texture-wise, flavor notes.
It's very crispy.
Aromatics.
So there's a lot of crunchiness to it from our deep fried garlic and shallots. There's a roasted aspect of it because of our roasted sesame seed.
That smell really comes out the moment you open the jar. So you get hit by the smell, and then you like when you stir the jar, you see a lot solids in there, not just oil. And then when you taste it, right, like it's kind of different layers comes out like different time, right?
Yeah. So even for the mild version, like a lot of times people can appreciate a lot more of the different layers of flavor. Like you get there's a hint of spice, and then you get like the 5 spice, you got star anise flavors coming out.
Umami.
And then there's a umami flavor that sort of like, so like they really I every time you watch a new person eating it, and then they're like, wow, and then like, oh my goodness, and then
they discover something more.
Like a seconds later, and then there's like the sweetness that comes out more, even though we don't add any sugar. Like the caramelized shallots really like bring this little sweetness to it, so it's really like an explosion of all the flavors.
And then for our spicy version, the spiciness doesn't kick in until like towards the end of the taste. So
Yeah.
like hits you and then it like will dissolve a little bit. You know, I
Just enough to where you want more.
right.
Yeah, we see a lot of people like trying it out, and then they will have it. They're like, "Oh,
And
it's
then they
not
got
that
some nasal
spicy."
drip and then-
Yeah, and then seconds later, they're like, "Oh, like never mind." So yeah, I think the different pepper, right, have different like flavor profile, and then I think the Thai like the Thai chili
Chili
pepper,
peppers.
that spiciness comes in little late. Like if
Mm.
it's like when you're having Thai food or Vietnamese
Mhm.
food, so it's not really strong, but it has really good flavor at the end.
Wow.
So yeah, so it's
Is the spicy version out right now? Because there, I know there's the traditional oil, the vegetable oil,
Mhm.
as well as the avocado oil based one. But
Right.
is one spicier than the other, or just different quality?
So we have a mild and a spicy version
Okay.
of each of the oil bases.
Okay.
yeah, so
Okay.
it's like a four kinds.
So four.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
kinds,
But I
Okay.
think now like avocado oil is definitely our like best sellers. Like spicy avocado is like the favorite,
Interesting.
and people just I think really like the health aspect of it. And then there's no other chili oil on the market are using avocado oil,
Sure.
so you don't feel like too guilty about eating it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is the other one? I mean, bad for it? Not bad for you, but like it's just not as good. Like,
Yeah, there.
Health wise,
or is it more of a stigma? Is it more of just like a preconception?
Well, if you ask different people, I feel like yeah. I mean, like
Yeah.
organic food, right? There's so
Sure,
much
sure, sure.
argument.
There's definitely a market for
yeah.
that.
Yeah, no, but I think there is some validity to the different oils because even my worker, she tried the vegetable oil and then, like sort of didn't sit well with her stomach.
Interesting.
And she
Yeah.
tried later on. She tried the avocado oil and that like it didn't feel much of an effect to her stomach too. So
Oh wow.
I think people do have like certain sensitivities to different types of oils.
Yeah.
And all four can be found at kind of the usual spots. I think I went to 88 Marketplace.
88 Marketplace has the premium oil only.
Oh, okay.
So
But spicy version too?
spicy
Yeah.
version, yeah, mild
Oh,
and spicy.
really? I might have gotten the premium one then, I guess. The
Mhm.
avocado one. I didn't even realize.
Yeah, so the mild is a yellow label, and then the spicy is a red label.
Oh.
So, our first place that we got into grocery store wise was Harvest Time,
Hmm.
and they
Lincoln Square.
in Lincoln Square. Yeah, so they have all four of our products there.
Well, and what was that like? Did you have to talk to many people or one person, or did it take a lot of convincing?
One of our friends, he's like an OG in the neighborhood, and so he like frequent that place all the time.
But
Scott.
I think the people who like that grocery, like the store is like really hyper local. They really support a lot of local business, right? Like
Yeah, absolutely. Chris, the owner, he's like always welcoming new products that are locally made. And so Scott introduced me to Chris, and they were very receptive to having our product there. They were a little hesitant because like the price point was a little expensive, but
once they start selling, they were like, "You guys have something. This is crazy," you know.
right.
And then even at like different markets, when we mentioned like Harvest Time, like people like a lot of people know about it and they love the grocery store, right? It's more than just like a Mariano or a Whole Foods. It's actually like your neighbor, your neighborhood grocery store.
Right.
So a lot of people really like to go there. Yeah.
Do you ever feel like there will be a point, or are you worried about the point where supply meets demand?
I am worried about that, but thankfully it's not there yet. But I do think that the supply can still we'll definitely have
Increase, yeah.
enough, right?
Okay.
Because we'll be more
We'll be
than
scaling.
be able to increase the production level,
Mhm.
production rate.
We
Yeah.
were just looking at the numbers, right? So we doubled the sale the second year than the first year, and I think we sold over 10,000 jars within 2 years. So I mean, it's
Like, what would you do if you started making just as enough money as you were in your day job?
I don't think it pays health insurance. That's a big thing. Like, I don't know if you can tell. I'm very like, it's all about like the safety, staples. So, and I mean, luckily, I really actually still enjoy my daytime job.
Yeah.
So, as much as help I can help James.
It's refreshing. I'm sorry, I keep peppering you with those questions, but
should I say the name of the company? Maybe they'll give me a raise.
But like, it's refreshing to hear someone thoroughly enjoy their day job.
I think it's the people also, like they really push for like it's the people you work with, and I really work with good people, so I really enjoy it. But we also have friends around us who are also very talented in all aspects. So like we've been relying on them as well. So it doesn't have to be from me, because I don't know what I'm doing, to be honest, either. Like
yeah, from a business standpoint, we really don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, no,
like,
I mean, 2 business later, right?
I wouldn't say it's like faking it till you make it. It's just like you're always learning, though. There's always levels to this.
I think one thing, like same as a PT business, when we first met, he had a thought of starting the PT business, and then I was like, oh yeah, no, just do it. Like, what can you lose? If it doesn't work out, find a job, right?
You can always go back to any of the other facilities that hire PTs.
And how many 7 years later, right? You're still doing it, and it's just been growing every year. We still don't know. We don't have a 1 year, 3 year, 5 year plan. But I think just because the detail, like the care he provides to his patients, really draw them back and draw more people back. So I feel like same applied to Chilee oil. It's like the quality of the product really just brings
speaks
people.
For itself. Yeah.
So it doesn't have the best marketing team.
Yeah, no, same with the EMT class. I haven't spent a dime on marketing. It's word of mouth. Being in business not really in business, but doing this class for 10 years, the students kind of just spread the good word, and we're grateful for it. How did you guys get introduced to Derek from Pauly G's Logan Square?
How did we get introduced to Derek?
Because he's very collaborative.
Okay, so it's actually a blend from my. Actually, I think he would be okay with me sharing this. That I formerly had a patient, right, and he created a breadware, cast iron oven called the Challenger breadware.
Cool.
And so you can use this cast iron dome, and it has like a little trough where you can put some water in to create some moisture for the bread to create in your oven. And so like we kept in touch, and I told him I'm making chili oil now, and he's like, oh, you should really reach out to this one guy, Derek, like who I think Jim helped to contribute to his Kickstarter, Jim Challenger. Yeah.
The bread guy.
And so he connected me to Derek. He's like, yeah, you should really talk to him. He's a really nice guy. And then I finally reached out to Derek. I'm like, hey, my friend Jim Challenger told me to reach out to you. Like, I'd love to get together. And so we actually went to Pauly G's and had dinner there. And Derek sat down.
He goes every table.
Yeah.
He's like the nicest guy.
He sat down and we talked for like 20, 30 minutes. He's like, yeah, you should, I'm going to try to have like, they're always like innovating with like new products, new foods. And so like he said, yeah, we'll have 3 months of like this time frame where we're trying out these new pizzas. Why don't you give me some of your chili oil, and then we can see how it goes. And yeah, the rest is history. So we did it for the entire 3 months.
It's been 10 months now, right?
Has it been 10 months?
Yeah, since July.
He was like, I was expecting it to only just last for 3 months, and then that's great, like great marketing, right? In a way. But thankfully a lot of people have been loving it, and they kept it on their menu. So it's still on their menu, thankfully, and we've been...
Did that open your eyes to other collaborations with restaurants then? And not just pizza. I know it goes well on everything. What if brunch spots?
Right.
Or
bars.
Any other places, right? Like
that's what
it's so limitless. But is there a type of restaurant or a restaurant that if you could manifest it into the world, like who would you want to collaborate with?
I think that was definitely our next steps is to get into more stores, and then also really try to target like specific restaurants to see if they'd be open to it.
Yeah, just like the restaurant we love to go, right? Like we want like Jim's Pizza.
Jim's, yeah.
Well, if you guys are listening,
where's Jimmy's Pizza?
Jimmy's Pizza. It's off of Montrose. It's like a New York style pizza. And it's nice because they do it by the slice, so they have the pizzas all there ready
Montrose
for
and
you.
what?
Montrose and Western. Yeah.
Really?
So they actually just moved.
I go to
there.
Asadero from time to time, which is
Asadero.
like Lincoln and
Oh, the
Montrose.
taco joint.
Yeah.
Or Menya Goku.
Yeah.
That's where I get my tantamen ramen.
So they were actually down the street from side practice until
Oh.
last year. And they really expanded and then grew into this really nice place with
Jimmy's.
Jimmy's Pizza.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'll look
I
into
mean, I would love to be partner with Parsons.
Oh, chicken?
I mean, it's great on fried chicken.
Yeah.
Uh,
Honey butter fried chicken too?
Oh
Yeah.
Basically any local like restaurant we love to go. I always thought, oh man, I wish I have chili oil right here, right now.
I feel like maybe Zaza's is good. That was the last New York slice I had.
Oh.
Zaza's Pizza.
yeah.
That's in Wrigley or Lakeview.
Yeah.
area.
So
It's so limitless. That's so
Well,
cool.
if anyone here owns a restaurant, watching or listening,
Yeah.
Reach out through Instagram.
at Chilee Oil.
So, as you prepare for parenthood, what are some pieces that you're putting in place that will allow you to step away? Or is that even a thought?
Yeah, honestly, it has not been too much of a thought. For me, my plan is no plan.
As
Which
usual.
also
Sufei's
frustrates
like,
Sufei a lot. Yeah.
I gotta learn to use to it. I mean, it works out always at the end.
Yeah.
I guess it is very frustrating for Sufei, but I'm gonna take time off, right? And hopefully, and this is the whole reason why, like, for me to hire people to work the kitchen.
Yeah.
I've been training my workers since last year, so like things are just becoming a lot more
Training
efficient.
wheels are coming off.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you being able to step away a couple of times already,
Right.
When he had patients to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
and then they're also taking over like the shipping part as
Mhm.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that, I have set some things in place
Mm.
to allow the company to still be running.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
We'll see what
do you think?
where tomorrow takes us.
On the website is a very beautiful video of Grandpa Lee enjoying the chili oil.
And double dipping.
I was like, I'm not gonna see. I didn't see
Yeah.
that. Do your thing, Grandpa Lee. What was that experience like to make a product that they enjoy, and even so, like to see their own kind of face on the brand? Have they acknowledged this reach that you've been able to acquire over time, and how much love comes your way through this oil?
I would say I think he's definitely very, very proud of like what I'm creating. He doesn't really see what extent.
I don't
it's-
think he can understand.
Yeah.
He's 97 years old.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's still healthy, like,
Yeah.
pretty like.
Or mom at least, or
Grandmother passed away.
okay,
End of 2019.
or your mom, or
My parents.
yeah,
Yep, they're still around.
okay.
Um,
How is it?
my mom is supportive. My dad is always like, "So when are you gonna stop doing this?"
What do they really ask?
Like,
are you-
find a real job,
what-
that
Yeah.
pays, salary.
I think it's coming from love, obviously, and he even when I started my physical therapy practice, he's like, you should work at these senior care homes. You make a lot of money there, and it's just not my passion to work with that population, and so he's always worried that I'm not gonna make.
That's
enough
where
money.
it comes from.
Yeah.
I get that.
I see. But then secretly, he also uses chili oil every day.
Yeah,
so.
at first he was oh, it's not for me, and then later on I discovered that he uses a spoonful with bibimbap, so like vegetables,
Every
meat,
day,
rice, and
yeah.
then he scoops a chili oil in there, and so he's come to love it a lot too.
Is there any, and Sufei, this is for you too, but like, is there any part of you guys that wishes you could be closer or some type of friendship with your parents at this point in time? Or do you have that already?
Yeah, I mean, this is getting like personal, but I can probably share more. So I did not grow up like with my mom, and she moved here when I was very young. So when I came here in high school, that's actually the first time like I really got to know her and my family here, my stepdad and my half brother. I mean, we have gone like my half brother and I have been much closer these days. But when I was living with them like 2 years before I moved to college, like it was really rough. Just because it was awkward age for me, and also we were just, I mean, it was a lot at school to learn and to taking in. So I mean, do I wish there's like more friendship? Like, yes, but I think I've learned to understand how my mom like express her love
With what she knew?
with food she packs me.
Sure.
Like at the beginning, like it was very frustrating that I was like, oh, why doesn't she like like say that she's proud of me? Why doesn't she say she loves me, right? But now I think like she's also like very sarcastic, so I kind of learned her love through like the way she talks to me, you know. So yeah, I guess, I mean, and I think I'm still learning more and trying to understand more, but like, yeah, I hope it keep growing.
How has that shaped your mental model on how you're going to be a mother?
Oof. Well, I hope I will, being able to express like my love like more with words, just more direct. Like, and I'm not really like the best person at it, to be honest, but I think just from learning what frustrated me, that hopefully will make me, just realize what I'm doing, like, and then correct myself when I catch myself. Yeah. But I'm sure we're all gonna make mistakes. So.
Oh, yeah.
Your mom loves our Chilee oil.
Oh yeah, she does. That's
Hell
also
yeah.
one thing I tell people. Like, if your Chinese mom actually like ask for it, then it's actually really good, because like she was like, "How much are you selling this for? Like, people buying this?" Or like, "Yeah," and then she's like, "Give me more." Like,
That's amazing.
Bring a big jar next time when you come home, and then she will make dumplings, like homemade dumplings, and then we'll eat it together. So yeah.
And James, like, has this been an opportunity or another excuse to connect with your parents as well?
Yeah, so...
Oh, yeah.
go ahead.
Sorry. No. I was, remember for a while you were going there every week because you were making it at their garage?
Right.
So, sorry.
So it was an excuse to connect with them.
Yes, absolutely. And they definitely contributed them to what extent they could. They're definitely more in the elderly age population now, and so...
But they've been able to see you in a different light, or see you grind it out at the, I feel like what we do as a small business operator, like, it's when you see someone pour their heart and soul into something, it's infectious. Yeah. And I wonder if that's ever going to get through to the older generation. It's like, I know they want the best for us and they want something that's stable. But when you see someone work so hard at something and you're successful, it still doesn't like... Like, what else do you want? It's just like...
Yeah,
I
think it hits them, but for whatever reason, the first generation Korean American
or Chinese American
that generation has a hard time to express, and they've definitely, I guess the older I get, I realize like they've experienced things. And maybe it's just hard for them to express like in words, but definitely I see just a lot more care and love.
Okay. And with that understanding, is there ever still a void? And if there is, can it be filled by something else?
Man,
I think with our kid, maybe that will
through your kids.
Yeah.
That's a lot to put on your kids too. Right? Like, as a parent, you have the responsibility to love your kid, but your kid has no responsibility to love you back.
Yeah.
Too much expectation.
I think it's maybe being like, after we are actually become parents, I'm sure we'll be able to understand our parents a lot more.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So.
I think we'll definitely now we'll be in their shoes, like having a child. And
all this to say, what a luxury it is to be able to explore a passion or a side hustle, and not to be in survival mode, to plan for the next generation, right? Some people gave up their hopes and dreams for the next generation.
Yeah.
So we do acknowledge that.
Right. Absolutely. And my parents, both of them, like they grew up in post-Korean War, and so they've had to be in survival mode. Like from that, they grew up and then moved to America, like completely foreign country. And so I definitely understand that sense of like they want us to feel comfortable and not have to work so hard. And so I see that a lot. And even just like this conversation is helping me to understand that even more.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, being asked these questions, and
it's only because I'm dealing with it too. So.
A lot of Asian
that's a lot of trauma.
Asian parents
childhood.
probably same across the board.
There's similarities. But is there anything else you'd like to share? Because you've answered all the questions I've had so far. It was a pleasure meeting you guys and hearing about the journey.
I think maybe one last thing is just we've all the people that we've encountered that love Chilee oil has just been a very huge blessing for us. It's crazy how food can bring people together like to this extent, and just even through Instagram posts, like I don't know, it's very, very special. So
are there any different variants you guys are planning?
Not yet. I think we just want to focus on this.
Just do it right.
Yeah. I mean, we still love it. We still use it every day. So like, just do this right.
It's surprising. Every time I still eat it, I'm like, man, this is so good.
Still good. Like I was still steal the samples like during those fairs. Like
That's good.
But I dabble into making a spicier version.
Yeah.
Because there are certain people that want just like really spicy.
Mm-hmm.
Or that I also want to think about in the future making more of like a Sichuan peppercorn, stronger
like
flavored one with that numbing effect to it. So to be determined.
That's amazing. Good luck, guys.
Thanks so much.
Where can people find you if you want to be found?
So chileeoil.com, CHILEE.com, and it's where you can order, and to find out what stores we're selling at locally as well. Also, just Instagram and Chilee Oil.
All one, right? All one word.
All one
Chilee
word.
Oil.
No hyphen, no underscore, just Chilee Oil.
We got lucky. We got that early on.
I don't know if anyone would have ever had that.
Someone got the email though. I was annoyed.
Uh-oh.
Like chileeoil@gmail. I think
Really?
You gotta get your own website now.
When we registered the website, I think there are people out there like does those email. Like,
yeah,
they will
but I mean,
register
you'll get info at chilee.com, chileeoil.com, right? So it's all good.
So yeah.
All right, guys, thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure. It was an honor, and we'll definitely be observing and staying in touch and admiring from afar and tasting and putting it on everything. And I probably put it on pizzas and eggs for the most part.
Yeah.
But it does truly, it's weird. I've seen other chili oils, including yours, say like ice cream. It's just like, I haven't tried that yet, but I'm sure it's good. All right, guys, till the next episode.
Thank you.
Thank you.